This is CEMTV, reliable news and entertainment.
Is it time? I can't wait to see it.
Voice of the people, stories that matter.
Oh wow!
Truth in every moment, now and forever. Across every border, across every land, we form, we empower, together we stand. From Africa to the world, connecting everybody.
Truth first, you next. Stay informed, stay empowered. Good evening and welcome to CEMTV News at 6. I am Bariswa Christian Wigo. Let's take a look at the headlines. Rivers State Drivers Welfare Association moved to tackle rising one-chance attacks in the state. Senate passes bill for the renaming of the National Insurance Commission, now come as Insurance Regulatory Commission (IRC). Israel is ready in place in case of escalation as Southeast broadcasts warning to Saudi ship in the Red Sea. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment.
This is CEMTV, reliable news and entertainment.
Is it time? I can't wait to see it.
Voice of the people, stories that matter.
Oh wow!
Truth in every moment, now and forever. Across every border, across every land, we form, we empower, together we stand. From Africa to the world,
back, we begin the news from Rivers, where the Commercial Drivers Welfare Association (CWA) has begun registering commercial drivers and vehicles in Rivers State to help passengers and security agencies identify legitimate commercial drivers operators and reduce the growing menace of one-chance attack. The renewed action follows increasing public concern over attacks on commuters, including the tragic death of Ihunda Nkiruka Jennifer, who reportedly died after being abducted by suspected one-chance criminals in Port Harcourt. Report says that the Rivers State Police Command has earlier introduced stricter measures, including restricting commercial tricycle operations from 10 p.m., banning tinted coverings on tricycle and minibuses, and warning that unregistered vehicles will be impounded while offenders face prosecution. Meanwhile, security and transport experts who welcome the new measures stress that effective enforcement, intelligence gathering, and cooperation between transport unions, police, and community leaders are necessary to restore public confidence in the state transport system. Still report on Rivers ahead of the forthcoming election. Residents of Rivers State have declared their readiness to vote massively. As speaking with CEMTV News, some of the residents said if the electoral officials fulfill the promise of conducting a free, fair, and credible election, adding that they and their family are ready to participate in the elections.
If they go by that, their former method, I don't think it will make any change. But if they allow the election to run free and fair, I think there will be change, because people will likely want to vote, candidate of their choice. Yeah, I have voters card. The electoral umpire will assure us that, they will conduct this coming election free and fair. What is there? I will vote.
Because we really need a change of government. The government has already shown its incapability in solving the problems of Nigerians. So I'll be out there to cast my votes.
Yeah, I have my voter's card. I'll be voting. I'll come out with my team and my family and friends to come for the voting.
The Niger Delta Civil Society Forum has called on President Bola Tinubu to honor elder statesman and Niger Delta leader Chief Dr. Wellington Okrika for his role in the struggle that led to the constitutional adoption of the 13% derivation principle. The group said it was unjust that while oil-producing states receive billions of naira monthly through the derivation of fund, the man described as a leading advocate of the policy has not received commensurate national recognition. In a statement issued by its coordinator Ezekiel Kagbala, the NDCFS said Chief Okrika's advocacy during the 1994 to 1995 National Constitutional Conference culminated in the inclusion of the 13% derivation principle in section 162(2) of the 1999 Constitution. Report says the group also credited Okrika with founding the Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, the SOPEDAC, and the host communities of Nigeria producing oil and gas (HOSCAN). To the national scene, where the Senate today passed a bill to rename the National Insurance Commission (NICOM) as Insurance Regulatory Commission (IRC). Upper Legislative Chamber said that the former name is confusing, citing the history and makeup of the Nigerian insurance industry, adding that a change to the new name is imperative to clearing the confusion. Report says the Insurance Regulatory Commission (IRS) Establishment Act was passed following the presentation and consideration of the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, National Insurance Regulatory Commission (REPEL), and Enactment Bill 2026 by the Chairman Senator Adetokunbo Abiru. The bill was sponsored by Senator Mukai Adetokunbo Abiru alongside all members of the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions. On the state of the Niger Delta region, Bayelsa State Governor Senator Doye Idiri has called on stakeholders to chart a better future for the region. In making the call, Governor Idiri joined former President Goodluck Jonathan and other leaders in reflecting on the cost and benefit of oil exploration in Niger Delta. The leader spoke at the opening of the 2026 Sweat Crude Dialogue held at the Conference Center of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board towards a Yenagua theme through the Python's Eye 70 years of oil and gas production in Nigeria.
Well, on Friday, I saw a column of smoke from afar. You can see that's plantain farm. The farms are very close. These are farming environments. What we are seeing here is a regular thing in the Niger Delta, and sometimes you do experience it, genuine spills.
A statement by the Senior Special Assistant on Media to the Deputy Governor, Dobra Atasi, said the chief host, Diri, represented by his deputy, Dr. Peter Akpe, decreed the level of environmental degradation in the Niger Delta and called on well-meaning organizations to work towards achieving justice for the region. Meanwhile, the First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu has announced that the community category of the Renewed Hope Initiative Green Nigeria Challenge closed without receiving any significant entries. In a statement issued, the First Lady Tinubu, the category which officially closed on July 15, 2026, was designed to encourage the transformation of degraded community spaces such as dump sites, landfills, and abandoned areas into green parks, garden, and other eco-friendly spaces. Report says the RHI Green Nigeria Challenge, launched by the Renew Hope Initiative under the leadership of the First Lady, is a nationwide environmental campaign promoting tree planting and the restoration of degraded environments. The now closed community category was open to local government, local communities, youth groups, schools, and NGOs across 36 states and the FCT with a promised 50 million naira cash prize. To the judiciary, where the Federal High Court in Lagos has held that Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (FCCPC) has no authority to issue a license but can only oversee airtime and data credit service. Justice Ambrose Luis Alagua will deliver the judgment in suit number FHC/L/CS/760/2026, determined that Dion Consumer Lending Regulations 2025 fall within the statutory and constitutional powers of the FCCPC. The court ruled that the FCCPC does not possess the authority to issue licenses and that the Dion regulations do not establish a telecommunications licensing framework. The NCC continues to be the exclusive authority responsible for licensing entities within the telecommunications sector, noting that the Commission's powers function alongside those of the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) rather than replacing them. The court confirmed the precedent of the FCCPC in matters of competition and consumer protection as outlined in sections 104 and 105 of the SCCPA 2018, while also safeguarding the NCC's technical licensing and prudential duties as defined by the Nigerian Communications Act 2003. Recall that in April 2026, the FCCPC authorized 5 companies to function as airtime and data credit providers under the Dion framework. Away from that, the Inspector General of Police IGP Olutunji Rilwan Disu has urged the newly promoted Assistant Inspectors General of Police AIGs and Commissioners of Police CPS to maintain the utmost standards of integrity, professionalism, and accountability, stressing that their promotion signifies the onset of greater responsibilities rather than a mere reward for previous accomplishment. Speaking during the decoration ceremony for the newly promoted senior police officers, the IGP congratulated the officers for reaching another important milestone in their careers, noted that the promotions as a well-deserved acknowledgement of their commitment, resilience, and years of exemplary service to the Nigeria Police Force. The IGP reminded the newly promoted officers that the elevated ranks position them as role models for junior officers who would seek their leadership and guidance, and encourage them to lead with unwavering integrity, cautioning against corruption, abuse of power, and other forms of misconduct. In the meantime, the Adamawa State Police Command has recovered a stolen 2016 Toyota Corolla Sport Valley at approximately 18 million naira after arresting 26-year-old suspect. In a statement issued, the Adamawa State Police Command spokesman SP Suleiman Ngoroje, the suspect Muhammad Dan Azumi, was arrested in Kano State. According to the statement, the breakthrough followed a report by the owner of the vehicle, who said he had entrusted it to the suspect for washing. Police say investigations is ongoing, stressing that the suspect will be arraigned upon conclusion. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police at Adamawa State Command CP Kabiru Hassan has commended the professionalism and dedication of the investigating team. In a separate development, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Badagry Area Command has uncovered a suspected fake university operating from a 3-bedroom apartment in Ilado, Olurunda local government Council development areas of Lagos State, rescuing 106 youth allegedly recruited into the scheme. The command also arrested the alleged proprietor of the institution, who was accused of luring young people from across Nigeria and neighboring West African countries with promises of admission into a foreign university. The operation was carried out in the early hours of today, following days of intelligence gathering and covert surveillance by NSCDC operatives. According to the Corps, the suspected institution was operating without an official name, registration, signboard, or recognized campus, while allegedly presenting itself online as a distant learning center affiliated with a foreign university. Elsewhere, a former assistant director of the Department of State Services (DSS), Dennis Amakri, has claimed that a former military head of state, late General Sani Abacha, died from a cardiac arrest during an intimate encounter with his girlfriend. Amakri made the claims in his newly released memoir, DSS at 40, My Journey Behind the Shield. The retired intelligence officer Amakri, who served as Assistant Director of Operations and Intelligence at the Lagos DSS Command when Abacha died in June 1998, said the late military ruler suffered a fatal episode at about 4:05 a.m. at the presidential villa in Abuja. According to Amakri, the woman who was with Abacha at the time panicked after discovering he had become unresponsive and left the presidential villa before the incident became known to security officials. On hunger burden, the United Nations has reached Africa, overtaking Asia as a continent with the highest number of people facing hunger for the first time. This is according to a new United Nations report released today. The report, jointly published by the Food and Agriculture Organization and 4 other UN agencies, found that 309 million people in Africa suffered from hunger in 2025, representing 20% of the continent population compared to the 292 million people in Asia, representing about 6% of its population affected by hunger during the same period. The UN said the findings reflect a shift in the global hunger landscape despite gradual progress in reducing hunger worldwide, adding that Africa has the highest proportion of people unable to afford a healthy diet. The UN agencies also observed that while undernourishment in Africa has been increasing since 2017, preliminary estimate for 2025 indicate signs of improvement. The report also blamed worsening food insecurity on climate-related shocks and conflict across the continent. Elsewhere, protests shook Bologna today as Italian police demonstrators in the northern city of Bologna after the death of the 42-year-old man identified by his lawyer as Abdurrahman Fakir. Report says Abdurrahim Fakir, a Moroccan-born entrepreneur who ran a small removals and cleaning business, died on Sunday after police were called to deal with a man behaving aggressively and damaging a vehicle. Meanwhile, footage of the incident filmed by a resident and widely shared online promoted hundreds of people to protest as they chant "Police murderers" and "The whole world hates you." The video showed Fakir lying face down on the ground while two officials restrained him. He could be heard repeatedly calling for help and struggling for breath before his movement gradually stopped. Opposition politicians are demanding accountability, and the governing coalition defending the officers involved as prosecutors have opened an investigation into the incident, and Bologna police said they will give bodycam footage from the officers who intervened to the investigators. In a related development, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has called for a full investigation into the death of a man during an arrest in Bologna, while strongly condemning violent clashes that left dozens of police officers injured. The Prime Minister Meloni, who insisted that the truth must be established without prejudice and without leniency, also accused those behind the violence of exploiting the tragedy to provoke confrontation. Meanwhile, Interior Minister Matteo Piantedosi says he is fully confident the inquiry will establish the facts and clarify what happened. Still in Africa, Ghana's main opposition party has reacted with anger after one of its most influential leaders was sentenced to 20 years in jail with hard labor for illegal mining offences. The New Patriotic Party (NPP) alleged that the landmark judgment against Bernard Antwi Bosiako, the party's chairman for the Ashanti region, was politically motivated. Report says Bosiako is the first senior politician in Ghana to be convicted of illegal mining since the government began a crackdown on the practice in 2017. Ghana is Africa's leading gold producer, but a large portion of the country's waters and environment have been polluted by illegal mining known as locally as Galamsey.
National resource. This mining site, captured by our drone, belongs to Akunta Mining Limited, owned by Bernard and Chibosiako, popularly known as Chairman Untumi, the current Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP. Two of their mining operation sites sitting at the edges of the river, with some of their mining leaks and residues feeding directly into the Tano River. The footage of mining along the Tano River from a layman's view shows a clear violation of government's buffer zone policy, which demands the demarcation of a 50-meter buffer zone away from a water body like the Tano. Existing buffer zone bylaws and specifications spelled out by the Forestry Services Division indicates no logging within 50 meters of major streams and 25 meters along smaller streams. That of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources states that a minimum of 100 meters off watermark should be declared as protected areas. But none of the mining sites discovered by our team along the Tano River respect these laws. Some indigents of Samreboy told Love News many of these sites belong to Chairman Wuntumi's Akunta Mining Limited. But officials of the company will not speak to our news team about the effects of the operations on the environment visible from above.
New UK Prime Minister Andy Burnham gathered his cabinet for a first meeting today after purging allies of predecessor Keir Starmer from the government. Burnham set the ground running by announcing a tax cut on energy bills that will save the average household about £45 a year, set to take effect from 1st October as members of the parliament say the plan, which was to be sponsored by scrapping a plan for digital ID cards announced by Starmer, will fail as the digital ID was not funded.
To ease the country's cost of living crisis. Today, he's set to hold his first cabinet meeting with his new cabinet as the team prepare to launch into their priorities before the next election, which has to be held at the latest in just over 3 years' time.
Meanwhile, the new Prime Minister has vowed to provide a breathing space for households struggling with the cost of living. Recall that earlier Burnham announced that he was scrapping VAT on household electricity bills in October, stressing that he will bring forward the biggest changes in the last 40 years to British politics. Still on the foreign scene, the U.S. military says it launched another round of strike against Iran to further degrade its capabilities to attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The strikes, which is the 10th consecutive night of attacks, comes after U.S. President Donald Trump vowed to punish Iran for the death of U.S. soldiers. U.S. Central Command CENTCOM said its latest strike had hit Iranian military command centers, maritime capabilities, missile and drone launch site and air defense system. Meanwhile, Iran says it struck 2 oil tankers and a waterway as well as a U.S. military asset in Bahrain, Kuwait and Jordan. President Masoud Pezeshkian said Iran was now fighting a full-scale war with the U.S. Finally, on the foreign scene, Iran says it has received proposals from mediators as back-and-forth attack with the United States continue, noting that the diplomatic apparatus had been active and that ideas from some mediators has reached Tehran. This comes after Iran responded to the U.S. latest hit with attacks targeting Bahrain, home of the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, and Kuwait. The latest strike shows how the two sides have edged closer to an all-out war as last month interim deal meant to permanently end the fighting has crumbled and shipping traffics and the Strait of Hormuz has largely stalled. Israel is drawing operational plans for a further escalation in the U.S.-Iran conflict despite not being a direct participant in the renewed round of fighting, which erupted in early July after Iranian attacks in the Strait of Hormuz. Report says Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened a limited security meeting on Monday to review the latest development with Iran and Israel Defense Forces. IDF Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir has underscored the military readiness.
100-kilometer line runs from Abqaiq near the Gulf to the port of Yanbu on the Red Sea. Saudi Arabia says the pipeline carries about 7 million barrels a day. That's nearly half the volume it previously shipped through the Strait of Hormuz. But if the Bab al-Mandab Strait is also blocked, exports would have to travel north through the Suez Canal. That's going to mean more costs for customers, especially in Asia, and they depend heavily on energy supplies from Saudi.
With Saudi officials. However, the Ansar al-Houthi group has made it very clear, if Saudi Arabia decides to engage militarily, then their next set of options will include Saudi.
This comes as Iranian-backed Houthi forces in Yemen have warned Saudi vessels to refrain from using the Red Sea in a message broadcast to shipping in the vital waterway. Saudi Arabia has confirmed the broadcast message, which warned all ships belonging to its country to proceed via the Gulf of Aden. Still to come, and the news stories are Morocco prepares for 2030 FIFA World Cup with major hotel expansion. Stay tuned for details of these in a moment. We'll be right back.
This is CEMTV. Reliable news and entertainment.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now to the rest of the news stories and business. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has retained the benchmark interest rate at 26.5% for the second time. The CBN Governor Olayemi Kadoso announced the decision today at the end of the committee's 306th meeting in Abuja. The move follows an earlier hold at the previous MPC briefing and a 50 basis point cut announced in February 2026, according to the most recent Consumer Price Index report released by the National Bureau of Statistics. Nigeria's headline inflation rate eased marginally to 15.91% in June 2026 from 15.93% recorded in May. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has imposed a 50% tariff on a wide range of goods imported from Canada in retaliation for what he called unequal treatment of U.S. cars, dairy, and alcohol. The White House said the duties would take effect in 30 days and marks a major escalation in trade tensions between the North American neighbors. Report says tension has been boiling since Trump returned to office in January 2025 and unleashed a wide-ranging global program of tariffs.
Mexico agreement.
Tariffs will come into effect in 30 days. They will apply to a broad list of Canadian products entering the U.S. The targeted items include consumer goods such as wine and hockey sticks, along with industrial products like cement. However, some of Canada's most important exports have been left out of the new measures. The White House has confirmed that energy products, potash, critical minerals and fish will not face the new 50% duties. But the administration insists the broader tariffs are necessary to address what it calls long-standing trade imbalances.
Canada has taken U.S. alcohol products off Canadian shelves, given better market access to dairy products from the European Union, and has put a cap on U.S. vehicle exports to Canada from companies reshoring to the United States.
Back immediately, Prime Minister Carney referred to Donald Trump's recent remarks about making Canada America's 51st state. The dispute comes after months of growing trade friction. The U.S. already maintains tariffs ranging from 15 to 50% on Canadian steel, aluminium and copper. It also imposes duties on Canadian softwood lumber and certain automobile components. Canada has responded with its own counter tariffs on selected
Meanwhile, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled earlier this year that many of Trump's tariffs imposed globally under emergency powers were illegally enacted, but President Trump's latest action uses a different obscure law that is untested in court. Elsewhere, Hungary's central bank lowered borrowing costs from a second straight month as subdued inflation allows policymakers to press ahead with a monetary easing cycle. The National Bank of Hungary cut its benchmark interest rate by a quarter point to 3.575% today.
Hungary's central bank has cut its main interest rate to a record low of 4.25%. It's the 11th straight monthly reduction, each time by 0.25%. Policymakers have said that they want to take advantage of the fact that inflation is near the lowest in almost 39 years in order to cut rates and boost growth. Hungary reported the economy expanded by 0.7% in the first 3 months of the year, lifting the country out of recession, but business surveys indicate that the improvement may not last. The central bank says it is seeking a neutral interest rate level, but many economists don't see it cutting below 4%.
Vaga held a briefing at 3 p.m. in Budapest to explain the decision. To UK, where the new Prime Minister Andy Barham has moved to reduce household electricity bills to undercut recent surge in wholesale energy price related to the US-Iran war. Report says analysts had already been forecasting a rise and their typical household energy bill, both that increase is now seen accelerating as the renewed disruption to Middle Eastern energy supplies causes wholesale prices to surge. And in health, as a global community commemorate World Brain Day tomorrow, July 22nd, leading neurologists in Nigeria have said that at least one Nigerian develops a stroke every minute, noting that the country remains under-resourced in specialists, infrastructure and diagnostic to prevent, diagnose and treat neurological disorders. The brain and stroke specialist said stroke was the leading cause of brain disease in Nigeria, with dementia, epilepsy, headache, neonatal, epileptic, traumatic brain injuries and other brain conditions accounting for a significant disease burden. The health expert will advise Nigerians to eat more fruit and green leafy vegetables, exercise regularly, avoid smoking and alcohol, and undergo routine screening for chronic disease. Called for urgent government action to expand the neurological workforce, extended universal health coverage to neurological conditions, strengthening prevention through public awareness campaign and early screening, and ensure equitable access to diagnostic services, treatment and rehabilitation across the country. Still in health, Accra, the head of Africa's top public health agency, CEMTVPLUS, says he has written to U.S. Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. asking him to lift Ebola-related travel restrictions on Uganda since the country has reported to new infections in about a month. Kaseya urged African countries to support his letter to Kennedy as a sign that the continent is supporting nations affected by the Ebola outbreak, the epicenter tree of which is Democratic Republic of Congo. Uganda's last Ebola patient was discharged on July 16, triggering a 42-day countdown after which it can be declared free of the virus, according to World Health Organization guidelines. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has marked the 25th anniversary of Research for Life, a public-private partnership that provides researchers, educators, health professionals, and policy makers in low and middle income countries with affordable or free access to scientific knowledge. The partnership has helped expand access to scientific knowledge for researchers, educators, health professionals, and policymakers in more than 120 countries. Report says since its establishment in 2001 as a 3-year pilot initiative led by World Health Organization, Research for Life has grown into one of the world's largest and longest running public-private partnership dedicated to equitable access to scientific research, which has strengthened research capacity and supported evidence-informed decision making in low and middle income countries. Now in sport, Morocco is stepping up preparations for the 2030 World Cup by expanding its hotel capacity. Moroccan authorities are also hoping to build on the momentum from the national team historic run to the quarterfinals to strengthen a tourism sector that supports thousands of jobs and makes up about 7% of GDP. Report says Morocco welcomed nearly 20 million tourists last year, making it Africa's most visited destination as it aimed for 26 million visitors by 2030. The government has already added 45,000 hotel beds over the past 4 years, bringing total capacity to just over 300,000. In the meantime, the next phase of growth will focus on bringing in more visitors from China, the United States, and the Middle East through better air links. Morocco also wants to diversify tourism beyond Marrakesh and Agadir and position Rabat as a hub for culture, sport, and business travel. Elsewhere, Success has announced that former Kent boss Matt Walker will take over as their new head coach for the 2027 season. The 52-year-old will take charge on 1st of November, succeeding Paul Fabres, who is switching roles to become Success' new director of cricket.
and that I played under and coached alongside. Pete Moores when I started playing in 2001, so obviously he was a fantastic coach, which is well documented. And Robbo of late, so we've been together for a decade, and he's been an inspiration in so many ways. He's a fantastic coach. He's got the best record of any domestic coach in the country, so he's a good one to learn off, and I'm really, really excited. The club approached me really. I think it was up to the club to make the decision, and obviously I'm thrilled that they've gone with me. I've been at the club for a long time. I know how the club works. I'm very passionate about this club. I love the club, and I think we've got a really good squad, so I'm really looking forward to the challenge ahead. A lot would say it doesn't, and you need to get somebody fresh in, but I know the players very well. I know what makes them tick, and my style is slightly different to Robbo, so it'll be a very different feel to the club, I think, or certainly the first team. And no, I look forward to it. It's, as I say, they're big shoes to fill, but I'm certainly.
Says Walker possesses the experience, energy and enthusiasm that the club had been looking for, and Success Interim Chief Executive Officer Mark West said the revamped management team would be key to the club turning the corner following their recent financial problems. Meanwhile, La Liga President Javier Tebas has called for FIFA President Gianni Infantino to step down, claiming the world governing body is destroying the football industry. The head of the Spanish league also criticized World Cup hydration breaks, the final lengthy halftime interval, the postponement of a suspension for United States striker Folarin Balogun, and the future possibility of a 64-team summer tournament. Infantino is expected to be re-elected for a fourth term at FIFA's Match Congress, although Tebas believes Infantino could have been brought down as a consequence of his involvement in the case around Balogun. Recall that a 25-year-old U.S. player escaped suspension for his side's last 16 with the Belgium following an intervention from U.S. President Donald Trump. And on entertainment, Nigerian music icon Innocent Idibia, popularly known as Tubaba, has dismissed speculation that he and his ex-wife Annie have rekindled their romance after an old video of the pair dancing together resurfaced online. Recall that Annie had earlier urged fans not to believe everything they see on social media, describing the circulating clips as old. The former couple announced their separation last year, with Tubaba confirming it on social media. Elsewhere, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey stamp kick off with an impressive box office opening in a larger-than-life epic tale. The big-budget adaptation of The Odyssey launched with $265 million in global ticket sales. Reports say the debut is better than the 2023 Best Picture winner Oppenheimer and its best opening since 2012's The Dark Knight Rises. Meanwhile,
Troy has fallen. You must begin the long journey home, for there are men at your doorstep, eager to claim your kingdom for themselves.
Even the queen herself, all free for the taking.
Your path ahead, Odysseus, will be perilous.
Join me, and we will make stories that they will never forget. Our journey begins with the Cyclones.
Come here!
They speak to me.
Odysseus will not leave my ocean alive.
Odysseus, find the god.
And meanwhile, with a production budget of $250 million, The Odyssey is among the most expensive rated film ever made. Still on entertainment, British royals expert Hilary Fordwich says Prince William Kate Middleton finally feel free to show affection in public after Prince William and Kate Middleton increasingly affectionate public appearance have caught royal watchers' attention. Fordwich said the couple are entering a happier, more relaxed chapter following a difficult few years. Report says on William and Middleton's official Instagram account, the couple shared a photo of themselves embracing in a deep hug after completing the National 3 Peaks Challenge for the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity. And that's it on CEMTV. But before we go, let's take a quick recap of the major stories. We started off by informing you that Rivers State Drivers Welfare Association have begun registering commercial drivers in a move to tackle rising one-chance attacks in the state. We also told you that the Senate has passed a bill for the renaming of the National Insurance Commission NICOM as Insurance Regulatory Commission IRC. And on the foreign scene, we report that Israel is redying plans in case of escalation as Houthis broadcast warning to Saudi ships in the Red Sea. And in sport, we told you that Morocco is preparing for 2030 FIFA World Cup major hotel expansion to shore up tourism. And on entertainment, we told you that singer Tupac has dismissed speculation he and Annie have rekindled their romance. Many thanks for watching CEMTV News at 6. Do ensure to follow us via social media handle at CEMTVPLUS across X, Facebook, Threads, and Instagram. We are also available on NICOM's channel. Do well to watch us on free to air. I am Bariswa Christian Winger. Good evening. Enjoy the rest of our broadcast.